Welcome back to Wally in the Woods. Consider this your table of contents. The big problem was we have spring water. Yes, it's unwanted. Yes, that sounds crazy. However, it was mucking up my parking lot and screwing up the whole area in front of my shop, and tired of having a lot of mud, and it was just a continual problem that was never going to get better unless we tiled it. So, you know, tiling, kind of boring, but I actually did some unconventional things with some free materials I had. You'll get to see that. And a few things I did to protect the drain tile. Also had some free stuff. So come along, we'll get this project done. And I did a lot of stuff in fast motion to speed the process up. So thanks for tuning in. Wally. One of the components to this whole tiling project has actually been coming all the way up the hill and grabbing this spring water that's up in our upper parking lot. One problem that we have is the obvious, and that's that the base of this whole lot gets soaked and it has no place to escape. So we're going to make a way for that. Already I've gotten this trenched out, and you can see even right there already that spring water is just bleeding out of the embankment. So after sorting through all the muck and mud, I came up with quite a bit of boulders and rock, and so I just kind of pressed them into the embankment there, and it looks kind of springy or whatever. I don't know. It's a good way to use the rock, hold the embankment, and I've cleaned up and tapered everything back so we don't have any slough or erosion. Try to minimize that. This area is actually used for stockpiling gravel, and usually I'm going to redo these wall blocks. They're just kind of willy-nilly thrown in here. But this will be an area where I can push against some blocks and stockpile my gravel. It's kind of a staging zone. The other thing too is we've used a lot of ADS flex perf pipe. It's 4-inch, but for a few years now I've had this electrical conduit. It's 3-inch, it's solid pipe, and I'm actually going to go ahead and use it up today because it was free, which by the way I checked into ABS 4-inch, $100 a stick, $100 for 20-footer. Well, that's what it costs, over $2,000. So obviously that wasn't a sustainable situation for my pocketbook. So we're going to do the electrical conduit, and that way the dump trucks and heavy rolling traffic can roll over it and not crush the ADS type of material. And so then this trench will go, as you can see, I got the gravel out first. It's going to join up the other area down there where we've been working, and there's an entire drainage thing that goes across the face of the concrete apron out there by the shop. So one thing I want to mention too, the joysticks on this are mechanically operating the valves that real fluid is flowing through and opening and closing. Whereas when you're running a mini excavator, they have digitally interpreted joysticks, electronic. And those actually run a lot smoother, and they are faster. So one kind of a minor complaint about the Kubota Backhoe is the boom moves slow in certain angles because it's just not as fast of a flow. So right now I've got a little load of rock, and this is a new little road I cut in around to another little back staging area that we keep some equipment and whatnot, and so able to reuse this rock, which is great. It'd obviously be stupid to throw that rock away. This little view right here, we're looking at the ADS drain tile. It's perf. It's there to pick up all the water that's coming off of that slab, and what you see there is a bunch of little paver stones. I kind of cribbed it up and gave it some protection, just so if the top gets a little crushed, it's never going to crush all the way, trying to keep that flow open. And then I started getting even more innovative. I made a little bridge over the top. Is it necessary? I don't know. I've had these stones for years and wanted to use them up. Now we're to the end of the line where I'm going to put in a literal street catch basin with a big steel grate. We'll talk about that later, but you saw the membrane in there. Now we're throwing down some drain tile, not drain tile, but drain rock. And the overview is clear from the top of the hill, looking down towards the shop. You can see the ADS stops there, and I'll explain that later. One little trick with the digging, that I found is you're going to see that sometimes I'll just drag the tooth bucket. That's a 12-inch trenching bucket. And so I like to rip the soil first if it's being stubborn. And then the way to get the clean trench on the bottom is on your last pull. Keep the floor of your bucket flat to the trench. And then you have a nice clean, it's a nice clean out. You don't have to go back with a shovel. So always helpful. And we encountered a lot of rocks. We're going to see us getting into a little rocky patch. You can see one right there too. So this property is sprinkled with rocks. Some places it's just like about impossible to trench, it seems. And then yet other areas, just beautiful soil. So right up here, you can see the little cast off on the left. We've got some boulders sitting next to those big blocks. And this is where the thumb comes in so handy. My last machine I had, it was a John Deere 110. Love that machine. However, I drove clear to Colorado, I shouldn't even admit this, and bought a machine that didn't have the hydraulics on the thumb and had no capability of even doing it. In fact, if you have a John Deere 110 with no hydraulics on the boom, it's already too late. There's no extra port on the hydraulic pump manifold unless a guy wants to tap and drill and try to add one. So what we can see here is we transitioned from the ADS 4-inch perf to just a solid straight pipe. This is that 3-inch electrical conduit I realized I had on the side of the shop with a storage shed up there. So turns out, I mean, nothing short of miraculously, this is usually not how things work for me, but today it is. It literally was the right amount to cross this section here, which is where the truck parks, not particularly the Tundra, it's actually the 550. Pretty heavy weight, crossing over this every morning to go to work. I didn't want to be driving over ADS. That's not a very confident situation, probably get crushed. So the solid pipe was the answer. And as you can see, I had enough to go all the way up to the top up there where the spring is in that parking lot. Kind of hard to see from this angle. And literally end up within 2 feet of this box, which is fine. I just transitioned to the 4-inch, came into the distribution box. These were some boxes I accidentally bought when I redid my septic, and I got stuck with them. I couldn't return them. So making use of them. It's not the box I would normally choose, but it's working, and it was free, so to speak, kinda. And I thought, well, you know, I might as well add a little bit more extra over here on the right side because there's a lot of water that comes out of this hillside and obviously off of the rooftop and drops down and goes through some cattails and a ditch down the other side of this property. So this is gonna hook a little bit of water and bring it towards this direction and kind of relieve the load of water, because a lot of times I get during super heavy rain, it almost gets high enough to get onto this concrete. So obviously I want to avoid that. And then eventually my bigger dream, not really a dream, we can make it happen if it's not in the muddy season. I'm going to dig out a lane through here so I can at least get a side-by-side, or, you know, I don't foresee being able to take big truck traffic through it, but it would be awfully nice to have access around this shop on this left-hand side, so I don't have to go. I get a little dizzy here with all the camera turning, but there's a road that goes up there and around, and, you know, obviously I want to make a shortcut, so that'll be something future, and in the future we'll be filming. So just wanted to point out that I was so happy about this free electrical conduit. It had literally been sitting on the side of my I call it the splitter shack. It's where I keep the wood splitter and a few things, several years, and someone had me just haul it off to get it out of their way, and turns out this is a pretty noble use of it. Again, I've got another D box distribution box up here I'll use to tee out and grab this spring water. And you can even see, look at that, it's trickling in. So there's a constant flow, not huge, however, enough to make this parking lot too wet. So that's the progress. We'll get back to work. My brother Mark joined me with his little dog Winston, a little golden retriever, and helped me lay in some of that tile in that little muddy ditch you were just looking at, because that got backfilled with rock as well. You're looking at the conduit right there, and I did actually backfill all with drain rock Little side note observation, check out the rainbow of dirt. This area here is a pretty deep cut, so we encountered that real pale tan topsoil. This is just the cast off from trenching. Then we got the red topsoil, and then finally the real dark brown. The higher we go, the darker the brown. Really good for gardens and growing stuff. But anyway, isn't that fascinating, huh? So this membrane's awfully helpful to keep sediment from filling up this drain rock. Previously I was mentioning that I did throw drain rock over the electrical conduit. Obviously not thinking that the electrical conduit's going to pick up any of the water, but if there is any groundwater in the area, it could percolate through that rocky ditch. And looking straight on at the spring, we've got the ADS pipe set, and we're already backfilling now. And I tried this. This was kind of an interesting little technique. I'm just goofing around. Put the 36-inch dirt bucket down. I'm driving in reverse and just kind of pressing it in and getting it into the trench. And later flipped it around, and tires make a good little roller, especially the small tires in the front. They can kind of needle into that ditch and get it all packed in. And then later come back, we'll clean up all the dirt, spread some rock. Didn't actually get any footage of that part, but it's the challenges of trying to work and film this stuff, you know. Don't always think about all that. Now we're back down to the shop, and in front of the shop where the slab is with that drain tile. And all this rock is pretty decent rock, but it does have a lot of sediment that's built up in it. So I just want to take the top 2 to 3 inches of gravel off, get the grade back down, because you get to a point where you just can't add any more gravel before you start getting a hill that's higher than your slab. And then, as I described earlier, the water starts ponding back up onto your slab. So here we have, you see a windrow right down the middle of that. I'll be scooping that up with a loader and spreading it over the upper hill up there where I don't care so much. I'm just trying to keep the rock cleaner and nicer down where we're near the shop. And then later we'll spread some new rock over all that excavated area and tidy it all up. And I love running the loader on the Kubota. The Kubota M62 has very smooth loader operations. All right, so a little progress report. I've gotten all the old gravel scraped out that's just off of the concrete here. It was basically leaving a lip. You can still see a slight little, well, the lip's gone. But anyways, I scraped out the mud and the rock that was basically backwashing up onto this concrete, and not making my wife too happy because she didn't like the mud, and I understand that. So got all this scraped out with a 36-inch finish bucket, which is on the Kubota over there. Anyhow, so it's I was able to come up with, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 yards of material and put it up there on that cut there where that road goes up. And you know, that just saves a guy a lot on brand new rock. It's still pretty good rock. It's a little dirty, but why not use what you already got? So now I'm gonna go over to the rock pile. I got 12 yards over there, and start spreading the pretty rock, and we'll get this all nice and graded out and wheeled in. And then we'll go up to the parking lot up there where that spring is, and then start spreading some more. Well, spreading the pretty rock. What do I mean? Well, it just doesn't have dirt in it. It's not really pretty. It's just clean rock. I love spreading rock with the M62. It's got a great, it's very smooth operating on the hydraulics. I really like the self-leveling. The bucket will not dump out if you're coming down. It'll keep the thing level. And it's almost a 1-yard bucket and huge lift capacity. Seen right here, we're lifting a 3,850 pound block. And I do believe this is the only hydrostat tractor on the market that has this kind of lift capabilities. We're building this little wall here where I can stockpile gravel and just keep it on site and use rock when I need to for spreading around the roads, whatnot. And these blocks are pretty rough. These are actually seconds. In other words, they're not primo. And you can see a broken face on the left side. It made for a little extra challenge in trying to stack these and make them look flat, but we pulled it off, and it's going to function just as we need to. If you like the content, push like and I'd be honored if you subscribed. We'll leave you here with a little bit of plate compacting at the end here. It was a snowy morning, made for some really good packing because the ground was wet. In fact, you can even see the snow melting off the moss on the time lapse down below. It's just good to get things packed in, and when we're turning all the time with the truck, it rolls up a bunch of gravel, and this combats that problem and packs it down real good. Thanks for tuning in.